Yeah.
Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening for everyone. I'm Santo Mobio, a student at Victoria University, Kampala. We have been given assignment to disassemble and reassemble a computer. And I'm now going to disassemble this computer. The brand of this computer is Asus. It is a desktop computer. And it is now having even an error message on the screen. You can see it is saying, please press Del or F2 to enter the BIOS setting. So that means it cannot find the correct boot for it to boot normally. So I'm going to first dismantle it, and then I'll go and also disassemble the system unit, and then we see the most components inside, and then later I will reassemble and then connect it, and I will maybe try to rectify the issue. So to disassemble the computer, you have to consider the safety measures. You have to make sure the computer is off in the first instance. You also have to make sure all the cables are disconnected, or let's say all the external components. If we talk of external components, we can remove the keyboard, we can also remove the mouse, and the connecting cables like the VGA that connects the monitor to the system unit. So I'm going to start by turning it off. Since the system is not already on, so we cannot turn it off from here. I will maybe turn it off from the system unit using the power button. So I will have to press here, and the power button will go off. So as it is off now, I will have to disconnect all the external components. I will disconnect the keyboard, I will disconnect the mouse, and all other things. So first of all, let me remove the keyboard and the mouse. They are removed, and now also I have to remove the power cable. I also have to remove the VGA cable. So now I'm plugging off everything. So the system unit is now free. I can now take it to a safe place where I'm going to conduct the disassembly. So before I also go to disassemble, I have to make sure that the place is free and clean. I also have to make sure the safety measures are in place, where I can put what we call the ground bulb that can connect, that can protect the device and also can protect me, the person working. Another thing is that if in case I want to also be safe, I have to use anti-static, which is the wrist strap that can be put in the arm, and you connect it to the cabinet such that you don't get unnecessary shock from the electric power. Another thing to do is for me to prepare for myself some things that I will use for keeping the nuts, the screws. Sometimes they can slide off and they fall off, and then they can get lost and you cannot fix them, cannot get them easily. So I have prepared this for myself to go and serve that purpose. So we are going to go to where I'm going to do this dismantling. So this is the place where I'm going to disassemble my computer. So I have my rings for the screws. I have 3 of them, because I may be having multiple screws of different sizes. So I will use one of these for each of those screws. So I now have to put down my system unit. It has to be flat down. In case I have the ground bulb, I have to put it on the table. In case I also have the anti-static wrist strap, I can also wear it and I connect it here. But unfortunately, I don't have all those ones. So maybe I can just use my table here, because I trust there is no power here now. So I will have to use some of my tools. I have a towel or a handkerchief that I will use for cleaning the component as I remove. In case the component is dusty or need cleaning, I will have to use this for cleaning it. I also have this screwdriver. I also have other screwdrivers that will also assist me in the process in case there are other screws that need specific screwdrivers. So I have all of this, but majorly if I will only use one in case all the screws can be unscrewed using this. So let me start by opening the cabinet. So I will have to remove this. I will have to remove these screws, the lock screws. They are usually two around here. So I will have to remove this other one. They are only two. So these two I can place them maybe anywhere here inside this. I can pick one and I put those screws there, and I can keep it in a safe place around this corner. And then I will now slide off the cover of the system cabinet. So I will slide it off, and here you can see this is the cover. I can place it down here in case, or I can even put it in a safe place around here behind. In case it has a covers to serve, I can put it here, then I can be putting things inside here. Now you can see here, these are all the internal components of the computer. You can see here, this is the power supply unit, and here is a fan, a cooling fan for the central processing unit. It is also attached to the sink that can absorb the heat that affects the central processing unit. We also have the GPU, that is the graphical processing unit. This is where this is the device that enable the communication between the system unit and the monitor. So because it is having the BGA port and the HDMI port, where you can connect two different devices. You can either use HDMI or you can use the video graphic array cable to connect to the monitor. So we are going to start by dismantling it. I'm now going to remove each component one by one, and then maybe briefly I will be giving brief explanation of the maybe functionalities of each component. So I will start by removing the the power supply unit. And to do that, you have to first remove all the connectors cables. These are different connectors cable. You can remove them, and then after that I can remove this so that it can remain free. So let me start by removing the power cable for this motherboard. So I can pull it off from here. This is the 24-pin cable for the motherboard. So it is the one that supply the main motherboard with the power. Also, there is another power cable that have 8 pins. This is a 8-pin cable. You can also plug it off from here, and you can see this is the one that supply the central processing unit with the power. And you can also put it aside. There are several other cables, the one for starter cable, the one for data, and then the one for USB, and other cables that supply some components such as the GPU and the central processing unit and the RAMs. There are other cables that are responsible for those purposes. So let me remove the prawn USB cable. This is a cable that connects to the prawn ports. You know, here we have ports here. These prawn ports, they connect to this cable here, because this cable is the one giving them power from the motherboard. Because the system unit, the power supply unit supply the motherboard. The motherboard will then send the power to this port through this cable here. So I'm going to also remove that cable. I'm removing it. They are about 4 or 6 in number. They are different. So I can unplug it. And you can see they are here. They are 4. They are 5. This is 2 in 1. This is 2 in 1. This is 1, 1, and 1. So these are 5 separate. But you have to know how to do the proper color coding for them to be properly aligned and properly plugged to the motherboard. And then we have the hard disk here. which is the hard drive, the main storage of the computer. It is also having cables that connects to it, and the other end connects to the motherboard for communication to happen between the main storage and the motherboard. Because on the motherboard there is this graphical processing unit, the RAM, and the central processing unit. All can send the information. Even if there is any information that need to be kept, it has to be sent to the main storage, which is the hard drive. So I'm going to plug it also off. I'm going to remove the cable from here. I can plug off that cable. This is the starter cable, and the other end is connecting to the motherboard. So you can see this is the starter cable. So I can put it down here, and then I can remove the USB cable, the one that supply power to the USB. So I'm going to pull it off also from here, and you can see it is here. I remove it, and there is audio cable and a USB 916 that I can also remove by plugging them off from here. And you can see now all the connectors cables are removed from the motherboard. I have now detached them from the motherboard. So I'm now going to disassemble by removing the power supply unit. After the power supply unit, I may go maybe to remove the hard disk. After that, I can also go to remove the GPU, and thereafter I can also remove the cooling pan and the sink for the CPU. But I'm not going to do that, because I've just observed that this one later will require what is called the thermal compound for it to resist the heat from this. If we remove it and we don't have the thermal compound, then we'll be exposing the central processing unit to too much risk. So let me start by removing the power supply unit. So I have to unscrew. I'm unscrewing. It is having 4 screws. So I'm removing one by one. And lastly, I can remove these screws for the power supply. So I can use this, and I keep them safely here. Remember, I have already put the screws for the cabinet lock before. So these ones are for the power supply unit. So I can keep them safe here also. Then I can remove it. You see, it is loose now. I can pull it out, and I can keep it aside. I can even keep it here if in case I want it to be there, because I don't also want to remove all the cables. So I just have to leave it to the other side. Then I can now remove the power cable for the power cable for the hard disk. This is the one that's supplied with the power. So I can remove it. It is here, and those ones are now off. Then the next thing is for me to remove the graphical processing unit. So let me remove the graphical processing unit. You can see graphical processing unit is locked on the slot into on the motherboard, and there are 2 screws that support it here, because this BGA and the HDMI cable plus these other ports, they don't have to be loose, because you can know that you can connect cables here. You can connect HDMI, you can connect BGA, and so if it is not properly plugged and if it is loose, then it will make connectivity to be very hard or challenging from this end. So I have to remove this pass. I have to unscrew, and again another one. Remove the 2. I can also put them in a safe place, or maybe if I know that here is having big screws for the cabinet, I can just add these 2, and then I can now come and remove the GPU. I have to press the lock. This is a locked buttons. I can push them down like this, so that they release this to be free, and now I can pull off like this. So after pulling it off, I can now slowly detach it. So it is now removed. You can see this is the graphical processing unit, and this is the thing that sends information from the information process from the central processing unit or from the motherboard to the monitor. It connects. You can connect the system unit to the monitor using the BGA cable that can connect to BGA port or HDMI. So this is that. So you can see it here. I have already removed the power supply unit. So I'm now going to remove the hard drive. I'm going to unscrew it. It is also having 4 screws. So I can unscrew this. So you can now see I have successfully removed the hard drive. This is a Kingston hard drive, and this is the main storage of the computer that can store things permanently. So you can even see here, this is where you can connect the power cable for it to access power and perform its duties. And this is where you can connect the starter cable that can send the data from, that can maybe send the data to the central processing unit, I mean to the read-only memory, or can receive the data that is being stored into it. So the capacity of this is about 240 gigabyte, and you know they all varies in sizes. There are those ones that can reach up to 500, there are those ones that can reach up to 1 terabyte. So this is the hard drive. So the screws for the hard drives are here. I can put them in this for them to be safe. I just put them there. Now the next move is for me to remove the motherboard. The motherboard, remember, is connected to with the cooling fan for the central processing unit. And just I said before that I'm not going to remove this. There is still a RAM also connected here. I can remove it before I maybe unscrew. So I have to press this knob, the lock. I can press it, and then I pull this slightly, and then the RAM is now properly removed. So you can see this is the RAM. So this is the temporary storage device of a computer. Any data that is in process, that is being processed, or the data that is in use, this is where it can be kept temporarily until when you decide to save it into the hard disk, or maybe if you feel like there is no need for that, you can discard and cancel that. So this is the RAM. So you can also see it is also having capacity. You can see these are the small SD cards attached to it, and the size of this now is about 16 GB. This is a 16 GB RAM, and some computers it is only one. Some computers can even have 2, others can have 4, others can even have more than that. So this is the RAM. So after the RAM, we are now going to remove the motherboard, which is the last component to be removed here. So it is having screws, and maybe you have to be very careful for you not to make a mistake. You have to be very careful to spot all the screws that are used for attaching it to the cabinet. So you have to be very careful here. Don't miss one or don't mess around. So let me see, I can count now. There are about 6. I can see there are about 6 screws. I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I'm going to remove the 6 screws. So I will just start by unscrewing this. And then I go to the second one. I remove it, and I go to the third one, which is here. I can make sure this one should not be harmed. So I have to remove it gently, and it is now removed. I can open that, because later as I put back the RAM, it has to lock it. And then here I can come and remove this. This is another screw. So far I have managed to remove 4 screws. We are remaining with 2 more. So one is here. And the last one is here. So there are 6 screws successfully removed. I can place them in a safe place if I want, but I can just maybe put them around here. Maybe I can just place them in between here for them not to go off. It can be down there. Then now I can detach, I can remove the motherboard. Removing the motherboard, remember the motherboard is attached with all the ports, the audio ports, the microphone ports, the USB port, the Ethernet port, the HDMI port, and the BGA port, and even for the port for the mouse. So you can keenly remove it, because if you don't remove it with care, you can harm this. So you can see now this is the motherboard. So with all the slots on it, and you can see this is the band. This is the band for the mother that cool the mother the central processing unit, and it is attached with the sink. There are possibilities of me removing this. I can remove, but because of me not having the thermal compound, I cannot remove that, because if I do so, I may be exposing the central processing unit to excessive heat, and that can be very dangerous for the system not to work well. So basically you can see this is the motherboard. That's how it looks like, and this is the lithium battery, and its main purpose is to make the clock, the time on the computer to work. Sometimes it also remember the passwords and other things. So you can see this is the back part of it. That is how it is. So motherboard is very essential device on a computer, because it is the one that accommodates both external parts of the computer and the internal parts. You can see that all the internal parts can be connected to the slots. You can see all the cables, connectors, all the RAMs, the ROMs, and all other network card, sound card, video card, all this. You can all connect them here. And for us to connect the external one, we have to use all these ports here. We have the ports for USB. We have the ports for the mouse, the type B, and then we have the HDMI. Then we have the Ethernet. We have the input and output, and then the microphone. So all this you can see. Those are the ports on the motherboard. So successfully we have now dismantled. We have now dismantled the motherboard. I mean the central processing unit, the CPU. The system unit. So the cabinet is now empty. There is nothing inside it now. So everything has been successfully removed. And so you can see that is how we do the work. So the remaining part is for us now to do what is called assembling. So we are now going to put these things back again. We are now going to do the assembly process. So to assemble back, we also have to follow some steps, because we don't just need to rush and do things in a certain way. Because if you put a certain thing first, there are high chances of it blocking you to put others later. So maybe for simplicity, we can first put back the power supply unit, and then we put back the motherboard, and then after that, immediately we have to start connecting the cables before we even put the GPU. Because sometimes if we put the GPU before we connect all those ones, this one will make the connectivity of those other cables to be very hard or challenging. So we start the process. Let us assemble back. So we can start with this, and we have to make sure it is properly placed push in and you push it here. So, and now we can remove the screws for this. So you have to check well. So I'm now putting back the screws for this power supply unit. They are 4 number, so I can start here. I have to make sure it is properly aligned. Then I take the second one, I can put it down for it to be stable. Successfully, it is there. Now you can see it is very firm. And the next thing now is for us to put back our motherboard. Or maybe we can first put, the second step is for us to first put the hard disk, because we have to make sure that all the things that connects, that receive the cable connectors must be connected first. So let me put the hard disk. So the hard disk has to go here. I have to pass through this push. I have to put it here, properly align it. So I can start with one, then the rest will come. So the pass screw is here, entered. And I can lock it in there, and I can take the second screw. Then I look for proper alignment and put it there. Sometimes it's not quite easy to put them. So we put this. And I can screw it again. Then the last one. The hard disk is properly put in, it is properly placed, and it is attached to the wall of the cabinet. So that is the hard disk. Now I'm going to put back the motherboard before I connect before I connect this, I have to first put back the motherboard. So put back the motherboard, you have to hold it properly. Make sure that all these parts are facing outside, because these are the ports that you can use for connecting the external devices. So you have to properly see if there is cleaning needed. You can also clean. So I can put it back gently, making sure everything is properly put in and properly aligned. So you can see everything is properly aligned. So I can take the screws back one by one. You can take this screw, I connect to the pass hole, and I can screw it back safely. So we have to be very careful here while screwing. We don't have to use excessive force, because this one is very delicate, because there are chips and microchips on it, and then those slots also, if you tamper with them, they can easily break, and it will be of no use again. So you have to maybe take the second, for the second corner, maybe I can put here. Let me put this one back, and I place that thing there. Make sure it is properly flat and properly screwed. So let me put the third screw. Third screw will go here. Yeah. So I'm putting for this part. Then now I'm remaining with the two. One is for this middle part and the other one is for the other side. So I can connect it now. Then the last one comes in. I can place it around here. Now you can see motherboard is properly placed. So motherboard is properly placed, power supply unit properly placed, the hard disk properly placed, and you can confirm from this side everything is okay. You can see all the ports, everything is properly aligned outside, so everything is okay. So now we will go to put the connectors, because us putting this parts will make the connectivity of other cables, like the audio cables and the USB power connectors and other cables can be quite a challenge to put them. So maybe we can start by putting the 8 port power cable, and then we can take it there. We come back to that. Then we go to the 24 pins power cable. This is the one that supply the motherboard, the main supplier for the motherboard. So we can put it back here. They are 24, so you can put it here in this slot, so you can properly align it and push. Then you make sure it is properly placed, but make sure don't tamper with the motherboard. So make sure the motherboard is properly saved and you don't have to tamper with it. So after you finish with that connection, then you can come in and put this the HX USB 3.0 cable. You can put it here. So you can see this is a little bit challenging, and you can have to find a way of aligning it properly. So you can put that. Make sure each is aligning properly. You have to make sure you put this one first before you put any other thing, because had we put the GPU, by now we would be struggling putting the hand. So that was the reason I was saying we have to first put this. Then after this, we can now use this. You can put this cable. This is for the power LED, and these are the power LED cables. The negative and the positive, you have to align them properly, and you have to plug them in the right position. So after this, you can now come to the audio cable, and then the USB cable. So the one for USB will go here, and then the one for the audio will go this side. So the audio will come here first. Let's put past the audio. It is plugged in, and then we can come and put for the USB. It is properly plugged. Then now you can decide to put the power connector for the hard disk. The power connector for the hard disk, and then you later put the the data cable. So let's put it here. This connects this side. It has to connect properly like that, and then you can use now the data cable. You can take one end to the motherboard here, this end to the motherboard, so you can place it around there. You remember, you even have multiples. You can put it in any port you want, but you can just put here. That one is properly put, and this end connects here, connects to the input. So that is it here. So make sure it is properly plugged, because if you don't, it will be very hard later when you are booting it. So make sure everything is properly plugged, because inside the hard disk, this is where the operating system is. So here now, I think all the main connectors are properly plugged, and you can now see that we have these are reserved, that we can later use in case you want to use them, but some have no use as of now. And now the remaining thing is for us to put our RAM. You can see we have two slots. You can even put it here, or you can put it here. It doesn't matter where you put it, but if you put it here, you put it there. If you want it here, you can put it there. But in case you have two RAMs, you can use those two. You can put one here and put the other one that side. So here you can see your RAM is having, it is divided into two. This side is longer than this other side. So you can see here properly, and you can see the partition. This is where they break. So the short one here, the long one that side. So you make sure this locked is pushed back, and you can properly place it like this. You place it like this and then slide it in. Then you push down until when you hear the click or the lock, until when you hear the click sound, that means it is properly locked and placed in. So if you have another RAM, you can put it in the same procedure. So the next one remaining is for us to put the GPU. So GPU now is the last to be placed inside the system unit. So let's properly align this. Then now we can pull this one out to create room for this to go in. So you know that this one has to be outside. So the PGA port, the HDMI port, and these other ports should be all outside. So we can place it here gently and make sure each goes to a proper hole, because if you don't align it well, then it will not sit well as well. And then you push, you see it is having a lock, so it has to fit in properly. And now after you push it in, it is forcing this outside. And so you remember before you were having screws, so you can push this and you can now put in your screws. So I can get the screws. There were two. The first one goes here. Then you lock it, and now the last one will go this way. So you can now see that everything is inside, is plugged in to its rightful place. You verify that everything is properly plugged. Verify that everything is properly plugged. Nothing is loose, nothing is broken, nothing is hanging. So you make sure everything is properly plugged. So you have now confirmed that the assembly is successful. So we can now put the cover for the cabinet. So the cover for the cabinet is here. You can see this is the cover for the cabinet, so you can align it properly. You can place it inside on top of it here, and then you can slide it in. slide it in. Then now you can see that here there are holes where you can now use this lock screw. So you can take this one here and screw it there, and it is there connected. Then the second one is here. You can screw it here, and I hope it is done here like this. So the system unit is properly disassembled and reassembled. So we are now going to take it back and connect it to the monitor and connect all other external parts, and then we turn on them to see if there will be an issue. We will solve it from the other side. So you can decide to put it behind there, or you can put it on top. It's all the same, but for it to be good, you have to put it down here. Make sure that the power is off, and then you can now plug the power supply or the power cable, or we call it the power adapter. You can plug it in. So the next, you can put the VGA cable, the video graphic array cable, that can connect to the VGA port. So you can connect it there. It is having pegs or locks. You can also pull them back, pull them behind, and then you properly push it in. Make sure it is properly pushed, and you can now screw them. You can lock it down like this until it is firm. Now you can connect the external peripherals. You can connect the mouse and the keyboard. These are the USB, one for the keyboard, one for the mouse. So you can connect them to the USB port. You can just put them up here, then the second one here, and then now you can push it in a safer place here, like this, and make sure they are all connected. You can see the keyboard is here, the mouse is here, the monitor is here. The monitor is connected to the VGA cable, and then it is also having a power adapter that can supply the power. Now we can turn on the power. You can turn on the power from the extension cable, and therefore the remaining thing is for us to turn on. You can see the response from the screen. So we can now turn on here by pressing the power button of the system unit, something like that, and you can see the blue light. You wait for the boot to start, and then if there is a problem that arises, then you will have time to correct. So I think we are waiting for it to boot, and then we will solve any other issue that come thereafter. And that is it here for this assignment. I thank you for your attention and for your time. Maybe one can learn from this, and based on the experience, sometimes there are different computers, and you may find it a challenge to maybe disassemble a specific type of computer, because we have laptop computers, we have desktop computers of different models and designs. Based on the manufacturer's design, sometimes you can find it hard for you to maybe do something, and this has now made me learn something new, and yes, I will carry on from there. Thank you.